In this video, we're going to talk just a little bit about place value basics. I hope that will help you to understand just a little bit more about why things work the way they do in terms of place value. Okay, first thing I want to do is talk just a little bit about what place value looks like. So if I were to write a number, I would have a digit from 0 to 9 in particular slots across through here. And notice that if we're talking about whole numbers, we don't have anything to the right of the decimal point. So everything is marked off in threes by commas. Okay, the first place that we have is ones, then tens, then hundreds. Now, each comma represents a period after that. So let's take a look at this. The first period is called thousands. Okay, it's identified by the first place after the comma. Then for every period after the first one, which has ones, tens, and hundreds, everything looks the same in terms of 10 and then a period, 100 and then the period. So if this is the thousands period, then we have 10,000s place, then 100,000s place. If it's the millions period, which is next, then we would have 10 millions and 100 millions. And notice this follows just what we have here. So if you think of 1 as being in the periods place, then each of these periods are then followed by tens and hundreds for the period. And it works for everything. Now, once we get past the periods that we have with thousands and millions, okay, then we get to billions. So the period in billions would be billions, then we would have 10 billions, 100 billions. Then we get to trillions period, and then we'd have 10 trillions, 100 trillions, then quadrillions, and so forth. Now, the easiest way to remember is most people, this is a prefix for 1. So if you think about where these fall in terms of millions, bi, that's your second one. Tri is your third one after millions. Quad is your fourth, because quad is all these prefixes represent where they fall after millions. So bi is like bicycle, 2, so it's the second period after millions. Tri is like a tricycle, 3. Quad, quad racer, 4. Quintuplets. Sex is typically a prefix used to identify 6. Sept is typically a prefix used to identify 7. Eight, octopus has 8 legs. Known is a prefix that typically represents 9, and Ds is typically a prefix that represents 10, or similarly the decimal system. Now, the thing that we've got to remember when you talk about place value is that when I represent a number up here, let's say we have 2, 1, 3, 4. Okay, so I'm going to read within each period. So I would look at this and say 2, and then I'm going to read that place, thousands, or 2,000, because we don't want to put the S on it. 2,000. Then the next thing I'm going to read is the number just like it is. We're not going to say so many hundreds, so many tens, so many ones. In between each period, if we look, we have a number that looks like 100. Okay? So if I had 3 places here, it would look like 100 number. So if I can say this number right here, 134, then I can represent anything that would be within the period. So if I represent this number and say this the way it's read, I just forget about everything except for that number right there, and that's 298, no and, 298, and then I read this period because that's what that's in, 298 millions. Okay, so 298 million, then I read the next part, and that is another 100 number. So it's 452,000, and then I read the last part, 134. So let's put it all together. 298,452,134. Now, no and in any of it. If I had and, it would be over here. And 3/10ths. And 500ths. We'll talk more about the decimal places to the right once we get into decimals. Okay, we're really interested in a number like this. Okay, so let's take a look at this number. Okay, so let's figure out where we're at first. Alright, so this is thousands, this is millions, this is billions, this is trillions, and this is quadrillions. Okay, now if I can read numbers that are 100, then I can say this number by knowing these things right here. Alright, so let's cover it up and read left to right. Okay, 592 quadrillion, 371 trillion, 805 billion, 917 million, 201,011. Okay, that's all there is to it.